powerful enough. That power up in us. We are powerful enough. We got power up in us. Echoes of this love, let the silence go and talk. Deep up in our hearts, we are powerful enough. We got power all up in us. Call the echoes, echoes of love. Echoes of love. Echoes of love. Moving with the unicide, cause you know it's you and I think that we unify. The love and you'll know the I, cause the you you're looking for is the truth you hiding from. It's the peace inside of you, not the lies outside of you. Live in love and ignite. It's the flame of eternal life. It's the God that's inside. Live in love, live in light. It's the power deep inside. It's the echoes of this love. It's the echoes of this love. Let the silence talk in your heart, cause you know we are powerful enough. It's love, power in us, echoes of flame, eternally.
Hello, everybody. It's Nikki and Natai. Welcome back to the Echoes of the Eternal Flame. This episode, before we begin, let us sing the song of Lyra. Me and Nikki will go along, and feel free to join us. And I will begin. Um, Maharata Kumbay Vectors. Enable Kai Uniblium by Vectai. Mahabay Vectai. Unure Unamur. Iste unde ise trajda era. Patateum ashelum taista intadue. Shaddai ure akuntan akuntan. Shaddai ure akuntan akuntan. Shaddai ure akuntan. Thank you guys. Feel free to join. And if you're wondering, that is the Song of Lyra. It is to activate your Maharic shield in tone form. So it's a tone form of that meditation that you could do. It helps if you can imagine the whole process while you're singing the song. But besides that, let us get into our third podcast. It's called The Victim-Victimizer Blame Game. So first of all, what is the Victim-Victimizer Blame Game? I will just give you a brief, quick description. It's an experiment that started 80 billion years ago as a fighting code program. It's like a virtual reality game encoded into the keys of our crystal bodies, and that includes our bones, organs, and blood, and it also includes our sexual organs, and it's passed down through generations. The whole function of it is to drain energy or keys from us. And the origins of it, what the 9 stages of the game on, we will get into, but I wanted to share that part to show that this is a program that's been around longer than even humans have been around. Okay, for the most part, it's a big one, and it's just like 12 attitudes, responsibility, and mastery. We need to discuss this so that we can have a, let's say, um an easier or a less bumpy ride to our ascension journey, right? Still gonna be a bumpy ride, of course, because there's a lot of things here. But let's begin here, and also, credit Nikki for the notes, because they're perfect. Okay, okay. The first one is called the Victim-Victimizer Game One, the False Friend. Right. So in this, the aggressor would be a friend, right? Somebody who comes to be your friend, but not really your friend, and the target are people who have this lone child complex, right? So I'm a lone child in this big scary world. And if you have that kind of idea, you're likely going to be targeted by someone who claims to be your friend. They're not really your friend, right? And it's going to be very hard to tell who the aggressor is. For the target, it feels weird, but it isn't always clear. It's tricky. It's to get the victim's submission through seduction, right? Right. So if the target has this lone child program and they feel alone and lonely and they need to feel safe, so the false friend that comes in makes you feel safe, and they seem really nice. And but it's to covertly control you by feigning alliance to you. So secretly, I'm here trying to manipulate you. Think about the gaslighter. Think about the friend that gossips and gaslights about everybody, and they make it seem like they'll never do that about you, and you're special, and they're only going to talk to you about it, right? But no, they're trying to get you isolated from everyone else. So that this is all a lot of what you're gonna see about these victimizer games is the person who is trying to control or gain power in this situation will always try and isolate the target, right? So this is to for covert control via feigned allegiance and the engagement of energy for another being to siphon from the other. So they're trying to siphon your energy. You should feel safe as you are being made with the Christ, and you don't need anyone. So this is the thing. If you know you're from the Christ, you won't engage in this game and this level of the game, at least, because you know that you don't need anyone to make you feel safe. You don't need somebody else. This is the first stage, right? The false friend. Remember, it's feigned, it's covert control via feigned allegiance, pretending. At the end of the day, think of your greatest Machiavellianist or psychopath or narcissist out there, right? No empathy. Think no empathy, and think only for power, right? This is for power. Specifically, Machiavellianism. This is just I need power. You have power that I need because you have a connection to God's source, and I want that.
Mhm.
That's the first stage. We'll pass it on to Nikki for the second one.
Yeah, the second stage, the false child. I just wanted to say as a caveat, if you're listening to this, these are definitely things that may align with you. Just know that absolutely everybody born into this time matrix has distortions. Everyone might see some of these patterns playing out in your personal relationship, with your colleagues at work, and what have you. We're forced to cycle through them based on the encoding that we have within our bodies, but it can be overridden. So as you're listening and you're like, oh, that sounds familiar. I think I have an engagement with somebody like that, or I think I've had that experience before. I think the first step, just like they would say, is
Mhm.
to acknowledge, like, yeah, I recognize that. That's what that is. It's a program. It's a game. It's a way to siphon your frequency into black hole. It's a feeding system. So as you're listening to the way we explain it, just ask yourself, is this mine? Is this something that I've experienced before? And know that we started with the Song of Lyra
Mhm.
because we want you to feel protected and safe. This information is in no way meant to discourage you or to give you fear or to spread feelings of discouragement or concern whatsoever. It really is for your self-empowerment. Okay, so the false child. The aggressor is called the baby doll, and the target is called the doting do-gooder. All right, so the baby doll is somebody who pretends like they can't do anything for themselves, right? They feel like they're in submission through seduction, really, and they like to be babied, and they naturally will gravitate towards somebody who is doting and wants to always do good and be helpful. So it turns into this like negative cycle where neither people may or may not be aware that they're in this situation. It becomes this second stage, right? Where at first you're friends, I'm lonely, I need a friend, and then you have this false friend, and then you become into the second stage of this baby doll that needs to be cared for all the time, pretending like you can't care for yourself, expecting other people to do that for you because they're such good people, right? So you can see in a way how this could progress in the stages because there's 9 stages and this is stage 2. In the end, we're totally going to talk about how you can break free of these patterns. But I guess what we're going to do is just go through them so that you can recognize them for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So the do-gooder likes to please people. They're the people pleaser. And I know I've been a people pleaser before.
Mm.
Like I just want to do good for everyone. I want to help everybody. And you know what it is it's an energy siphoning experience. And the people playing the game with you, being the baby doll, have no clue that that's what they're doing, that they're helping to siphon your energy as well as their own, right? So just so you know that this is just a really simple, it doesn't have to go any deeper than that. These are roles that we play in this metatronic program for
Mhm.
frequency and energy siphoning, which brings us to the false parent, the third stage, Nate.
Yeah, I just also wanted to add something onto recognizing, right? The thing is, or breaking free, I should say. Recognition is the first step to breaking free, right? Let's break that word down, recognizing, rearranging your cognition. And if you know anything about cognitive psychology, cognition is your mind, how you think, how you perceive the world. That is what recognition will do for you at the beginning, right? So being able to recognize these, that's why we're going into detail of each game, is so
Mhm.
that you recognize it, and then after that, what do you need to do? We'll get there. So the third game is the third stage is the false parent, right? So the aggressor will be the hero savior, and the target is something called the helpless honey. So think of all the Cinderella movies and think of all the Disney princess movies, and then there's the damsel in distress, and the aggressor in this case is the person who comes pretending to protect and support and nurture uh, um, 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 the helpless honey,
Mhm.
while secretly what you're looking for again is victim through seduction, submission through seduction, right? So a lot of these is submission through seduction. The first three, if you paid attention, the false child and the false friends, victimizers, it's all about victim submission through seduction. To gain, right, this third one is to gain covert control via feigned aggressor contrived dependence, fear, and self doubt, right? So you make the damsel, right? So submission through seduction on the damsel in distress. The target will attack the aggressor and vice versa. Heroes pretending to protect and support the nurturing the honey, and then they contrive this dependence, right? This fear, this self doubt, make you afraid of functioning on your own, to submit to their own will. Think of that in your own life. Actually, if you look, you see many relationships, right, where one person is has their will dominating this whole relationship. They make the other person submit, right? Make them afraid to function on their own. And I notice this happens to women a lot, right? In our life, women will find a man. They feel, oh, he has money, he has this, and he has all that, and we can't leave him. And the man who has high traits and, let's say, psychopathy, neuroticism, will use that to gain more power over the woman, right? Because he only feels powerful when when he makes this woman have no ability to operate or control. Think of if anybody wants a mainstream example of what this would look like, think of an Andrew Tate. And Victim-Victimizer 3, think of an Andrew Tate. If you know who Andrew Tate is, trying to get submission and to submission through seduction to create fear and dependence. And
Mhm.
that's the third one. We'll pass it on to Nikki for the fourth one, which is false righteousness. Sounds
False
interesting,
righteousness.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It just occurred to me too when you said it, like I didn't think of that the hero savior, helpless honey, the false parent program is a lot like what's portrayed in Disney films whenever,
Mhm.
like I think they're trying to change that paradigm a bit with like, the female character being more
Yeah,
dominant and stuff, but it doesn't really change anything. There's still that helpless honey, hero savior,
yeah,
storyline that's being fed to people's consciousnesses, right? As like a desirable relationship pattern.
yeah.
But it's not.
Whether man or woman, I want to add that. Like, the helpless honey is not only gonna be a woman. Okay,
Yeah.
we need to get out of these gender ideas too often in the spiritual when we're talking about spiritual stuff, because
Hmm.
it can because a man can have a lot of ire energy just as much as a woman can have a lot of mane energy. Okay, take me for example. I have a lot of E-ray, right? So I would be considered feminine, right? But anyways, I'll let you keep going, Nikki.
Yeah, and in that same note, I mean, these roles are reversible. You could be the victim or you could be the victimizer. You cycle through them on repeat. You each get a turn. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So until you break the pattern upon realizing that this is just a game, right?
Yeah.
The fourth stage is called false righteousness. And so the aggressor is known as the terrorist, right? Creating victim disorientation and fear. And then the target or the victim is the acrimonious achiever, right? The self-righteous, a little bit angry, and really what this is a geopolitical stage that we're sitting on right now. This is how governments treat each other, especially, during times of tension and war. This is the story of politics, right? We have this threatening, causing fear. We are the true ones. You are the ones who are wrong in a very aggressive way. Whereas the acrimonious achiever are usually caught off guard, and trying to justify their actions, their ploy, their stance, right? And that's what we see happening with countries today. So, like the terrorists will also try to isolate the target and
Yeah.
make the target look like the bad guy. Like this is what they've done. This is why we've had to do this aggressive thing to instill fear, right? So that this is playing out. Like this is extreme, right? This is overt control by generating fear, pain, confusion, and disorientation by direct intimidation. So this is where it gets a little more obvious and direct, whereas in other cases it could just be really subtle and really difficult to detect. But this one's an obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Natai?
Yeah, and you can see it like you can see governments. Let's just use okay, I'm Canadian, and then Nikki and I are not American. I know that, so we'll use America as an example, and we'll see Donald Trump has labeled a group as a terrorist, and they may very well be terrorists, right? The acrimonious achiever is it's very easy to point out, seeing somebody as, hey, you're doing this to me. I am trying to achieve something and you're getting in the fucking way of my achievement. Excuse my language there. But you're trying to get in the way of my achievement. So there, you can see how I'm taking the victimizer role, even though it doesn't seem like it, right? It seem like I'm defending myself. No, you're actively taking the victimizer role. And you can see that in American politics, like clear as day. Just look at American politics.
Mm-hmm.
Every side labels the other side as a terrorist and that they're trying to achieve something so amazing for the people, right? But they don't see that they're both adopting the victim and victimizer role in one go. And
Yeah.
then that will lead us to victim-victimizer game 5, the dead enemy stance. This one. The aggressor is the possum, and the target is the peacekeeper. This I suffered my life with, so this is very good for me. Well, I should say suffer. It helped catalyze a lot of my experiences, right? Because we don't suffer, anymore. But it's like this. The possum is not there. It's quiet, pretends everything is fine to distract and disarm the target. The target is distracted and disarmed, feels secure that there's no threat, and wants to be in peace, right? The idea is victim deception, and then deception via aggressor contrived false security for the victim. So think Loki in the Marvel series, okay? If you've watched the Marvel series, think about how Loki in the whole movie will pretend, right? He's not a threat, he's dead, right? How many times did Loki die in the movie, right? So that the peacekeepers or the heroes in the story think that there's no threat, right? It's like this. A lot of new age movements says light and love, light and love, but they're clueless. They don't know that there's dark. Light, love, and clueless is not light and love. Light, love, and clueless is essentially pretending like there's nothing going on there, allowing the possum because you want peace, right? To be a peacekeeper, you pretend like the possum doesn't there, and it slowly starts to, secretly work its way in and infiltrate because you don't want to see it. You think you're secure because it's contriving a false security for you, pretending like it doesn't exist. making you think it's dead, right? Like the devil's greatest trick, right, is making people think it doesn't exist, making people think it's dead. That is, that's a saying I heard a while back, but I feel like that go fits there perfectly. Like the greatest trick is, hey, I'm dead. You can't see me. I'm not here, right? Next thing you know, I'm right behind you, and then stabbing a knife right into your back.
Mhm.
And that'll
Yeah.
take us to Victim-Victimizer Game 6. Pass that off
Yeah.
to Nikki.
Deception, that's the dead enemy stance, is that deception, right? And so that, yeah, the Trojan horse is very much the same. It's about that deception. So the aggressor is known as the snake, and the target or the victim is known as the status seeker. So it is like the love and light new age spiritual community, come on over here, it's beautiful over here, we'll teach you all the things you'll need to know to feel good and protect yourself and be spiritual, right? It's deceptive. There's missing information in there, right? And you don't know. You have no clue. You just assume they're good people like me. They want the best for everyone like me, but they're blindsiding you. And then they will strike when the time is ready. And that can look like, for example, in the love and light spiritual community, like gaslighting, like, oh no,
Yep.
you don't really feel like that. That's just your ancestry speaking. Or,
Or
just
your
trying
karma.
to, yeah, just trying to confuse and belittle people, and that's what a snake to me would do. It's very sneaky, very blindsiding. It's a head game, and the victim is just wanting to improve themselves. And so this will knock you off balance, and a lot of people I think can resonate with this experience. I'm sure if you're spiritual, if you're listening to this podcast, if you've been involved in the new age spiritual community in group dynamics, you can kind of see it playing out. The minute that you're looking to improve your status with another is the minute that you're a victim. And the minute that you're trying to encourage people to improve their status while, hoping to achieve something for yourself, which is some sort of gain from an individual by withholding information, then you're the snake. And so I'm sure, everybody's played these roles before, at least in certain circumstances, right? We loop through them until we acknowledge them, until we can see, oh, this is me being the aggressor here. This isn't fair. This isn't right, right? And we'll totally, again, talk about how that all
Mhm.
works. But that is the sixth one, and there's three more to go, right? So that was
Mhm.
Trojan Horse, and the next
And
one is Martyr.
there's martyr. Yes. Yes. Martyrs are victimizers, apparently. And that was weird to me until we explain how that works. Then it's completely clear, right? So the aggressor is the martyr, and the target is the blind blamer. You are blind that you are blaming everything, like you're blaming everyone blindly. What you just believe what you're being told without even critically thinking or guessing it. Just like, oh, it sounds good. Okay, that's true, right? And the idea is victim confusion through covert control via direct mirroring. Now, that's very interesting right there, right? So, blind blamers hide inner anger. They are not feeling in control of their lives. You don't realize you are projecting on anyone. They're sad and depressed and feel victimized. You're blaming another person or object because you haven't taken control to resolve it yet. You have no boundaries and you feel victimized. Anger is being transmitted that you don't see. You're giving your power away and you don't see it. Martyr plays the poor me role when they pretend to be the victim, as though they never mirrored the behavior of the blind blamer. Direct mirroring. The aggressor is trying to isolate the target, making the target a bad guy, get allies to back off and leave the target, right? So the whole idea is this it's your fault. Your
Mhm.
fault. That guy's fault. This person's fault. Everyone else's fault, right? Oh no. I think like this. You're 20 and you remember something somebody did when you're, let's say, 5. It's their fault I'm the way I am when I'm 20 now. And then when you have that mindset, then you become the martyr, because if you're blaming everybody else, right, or other people for your problems, you want to prove why. So when you're trying to prove why, then you become a martyr. You become this victim, right? But in this weird way, the victim is the victimizer. They're pretending to be the victim. The victim here is actually victimizing the victim, who they're claiming is victimizing them. So this martyr, you know, you don't have to be a martyr. Martyrdom, you don't have to sacrifice yourself. You don't have to give yourself up for no reason, for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You mean a lot more. You're in control of your life as well. You don't have to blame everybody else, right? For what's going on in your life. And just so you know, Jesus, right, or Joshua, our brother, you know, Yeshua 12, Melchizedek, he did not die for our sins. He did not martyr himself. Just so you know. You know, if anybody was wondering that, there is no honor in martyrdom at all. The only thing you're doing is or blaming. There's no honor in blaming, thinking that, oh, I'm getting justice, pointing the finger there. What right do you have? How do you know? How do you know that you're any different than that being over there? Actually, in fact, you are that being over there that did that at the highest level. So who's there to blame? Who are you dying for? Who are you sacrificing yourself for? Yourself? Do you want to sacrifice for your? Do you think you yourself would want you to sacrifice your own life for yourself? Think about it in that terms. Because if you do, a lot of these victimizer games are going to start to slowly subside. I think number 9 though it's a very interesting one, but besides that, I'll pass the mic to Nikki. We're on number 8 here.
Yeah, the magical. Again, another mirroring situation, right? Where the martyr mirrors the blind blamer. I'm just like you. And in this one too, it's a mirror. It's direct mirroring. And it is the trickiest thing to detect because they mirror your behavior and actions, making you think that they're your ally, that they understand, that they empathize, right? But what they're doing is something else entirely. So with the magician being the aggressor, the victimizer, right? It's mental sleight of hand, you know? I'm just like you. I agree. I had the same experience. I know. And what's happening is that they're not actually empathizing with you. They're being passive aggressive, right? And then they'll gaslight you and manipulate you if you're the victim, if you're the sin eater, right? So being the sin eater is of somebody with a guilt complex. It's always my fault. I'm always the one that has to deal with this. You know, it's a lot like the blind blamer in that way. And this is definitely like an easy victim to target with and mental emotional manipulation, right?
Yeah,
And I think it looks like the narcissist, maybe somebody who's a narcissist, like everything's fine and kosher, and then all of a sudden, this one thing that they do, and it's like nobody saw it because you didn't expect it from that person.
mm-hmm.
It can't be true. They're good people though, you know, like one of those. Like it's tricky. It's a tricky one. Do you want to share something?
Yeah, I think religion, when I think of VV8, right?
Interesting.
The whole idea of religion is, oh no, like you're like us, you know, you're a sinner. Yeah, you know what I mean? You came into this planet, you don't make good decisions, and see, like, look, this is how we act, and this is how we do it. And then if that doesn't work, they start to model you, right? They start to act exactly like you and your mannerisms and everything that you're like, in order to convince you that maybe you are this sinful person, right? This is especially if you have a lot of guilt, you're prone to this, you know, because think of like a psychic, right? They they read you, they see you, like, oh, okay, this is how the person acts. I want that energy though. There's something in that person I want. So, oh, they do this when they're sitting. Oh, let me do that. Or oh, they pull their hair back like that. Okay, let me add that. And they start to mirror everything, how you're acting, the way you speak, and then slowly but surely, you're like, wait, this person is more like me than me. Maybe they're right. Maybe they know something, and maybe I am this guilty sinner. And it is magical. It's literally like magic. It is magic. It's just black magic, but it's magic.
Yeah, and a reminder too that these aggressor roles, these people may not even be aware that they're doing it, right? They have no idea that this is what they're doing to service themselves and feed themselves, right? For their reverse coding is requiring to feed on another's frequency. And this is like the relationship dynamics that we have on this planet right now. Like it is so unhealthy out there. And so like this is why we have made this our very one of our very first episodes is because not only do you need the tools, we need to understand what's going on in this way that are tangible for you right now, right within your existing relationship. relationship.
Mhm.
But this brings us to the very last one, the bully is psychopath. Do you want to get into that, Natai?
Yeah, I think we'll both get into this one because this one's a big one. This is the I destroy you stance, right? This is the okay. Um, Nothing previously has worked, so finally I will destroy you. You are now. I want to kill you, essentially. I did the I destroy you stance is covert control via reverse mirroring. I'm not too sure what that means, so if Nikki, you know what that means, I'll let you explain what reverse mirroring is. But the target is the fixer, right? Think Krystic Guardian returning, fixing a matrix, and the aggressor is the bully, right? So a fixer keeps showing up, getting back up, infringes on free will, as some don't, but this infringes on free will because some don't want fixing. This is draining. The target can say, I love you, but I can't fix this. The bully can go into psychopath, which can lead to direct physical harm, right? So this is the one, right? This is what causes, let's say, household spousal abuse. Right?
Yeah,
This one right here.
that's right.
Right? Because say whether you're a man or a woman, you're there. You feel like you can fix this partner.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your job, right? But you love this person. I guess you feel like you can fix them, and this is a little interesting situation because I don't know if you leave, that could actually make the whole situation worse. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you need to find a way where it's like, I love you, but there's boundaries here. You're not gonna do any of that. And of course, if they start to get more aggressive, of course you have to leave the situation. You cannot allow yourself to be walked all over, right? But I'll read some of Nikki's notes here because they're really, really in depth. And appreciate you. Grateful for that, Nikki. uh, the aggressor becomes the target in the next set of six cycles, right? Because this is the thing about the victim-victimizer game. I was trying to talk about earlier, how it began 80 billion years ago. It's because in another time matrix, a neighboring parallel Akasha, it fell, and it fell due to polarity issues that were occurring between the Ire and the Mane. And in order to fix this, the beings in there, they created this victim-victimizer game. So they would have six cycles, right? If you, I don't remember how that goes, Nikki. Was it six sets of one group plays the victimizer and one group plays the victim in the next set?
Yeah, and then the third group would be the neutral party
Yeah, the
that
control
is there
group.
to pull them out in an emergency, right? So the first
Yes.
round didn't go well. The victimizers destroyed the victims. So
Yeah,
then when
at
it
around
came
the
to the
third
next,
cycle. Yeah.
yes, and so when it came to the next round, now these beings put themselves into separate reality. So they were in fourth, fifth dimensional spaces,
Yeah.
which is where they say some of this polarity can start to present itself in a strong way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so then they did round two, and of course the tables turned again. And the once the victims became victimizer, then destroyed the other. So they were just tearing each other apart. It went really bad. And this was just an experiment to try to find out how this happens and how to correct it in order to repair what was had been happening before in other
Mm-hmm.
time
And
matrices, right?
it went, let's just say it kind of went sometimes I'm like, you guys are cosmic beings and this, you can figure this out. Like, but then I don't blame them because things are probability, possibility, right? God source, no, like, it's like I relate them to God source, but they're just like us, right? They're not really God source who is everything at all time at once, right? They are pieces of God source that can experience what God source kind of experiences, you know?
Mhm.
So the reason we brought up this six cycles, I'm still gonna finish the VV9 is because it's very important to know this is like it's like a program overlay over your experience in the universe, in the matrix, right? And the beings that attempted it, it was noble, but it just went completely haywire, right? One thing about the VV9 I want to go back to is if you don't make a decision when you're in this bully fixer situation, the elementals will decide for you what you
Mhm.
say to your partner, right? So it's best to say, I have no argument with you and blow it out with your breath, right? And it says these will activate in our personal lives because of the Threshold activation. Shield fortification can prevent being stuck in these programs and help build immunity. Everybody gets interference on this planet. No one is exempt from it. There is no winner. And there's no loser, by the way. This is not a competition game. Right? The victim-victimizer tries to take you into competition, but things are cooperation and diplomacy, attitudes and responsibilities and mastery. Cooperation and diplomacy, very good one. So there is no winner. That's the VV game. It must be win-win and best for both involved. Ricochet energy back and forth, building charge, generating key emissions, feeding the metatronic reverse spirals. That's what it is, right? They want us, our keys that are coded from God's source, to feed their fallen system because it's going to implode. Right? It's because of the decision made at the prior stage of their evolution, right? With the game, when the group that fell as hard as they did, they realized, oh wait, but we need control over life force energy. So they need to devise games like the Victim-Victimizer, like the 666, right? Actually, it started off as 6666, but they only made it to the third cycle of the sixth, and that's where we get 666 from, right? And then humor is a great attitude. It will lighten up the pattern so you can disengage. Elementals are fighting through you as well as outside field influences. Say I have no argument with you. Run protection frequencies and reach for higher space, building field and strength. Ask source for its assistance. Core intention is not coming through because of the elemental. Sometimes you can't fix it and you have to be okay with that, right? You have to be also okay with the fact that God's source has his own time. So
right timing.
play along with its time. Don't try and control time. Work with time. Right? That's what the negatives do. They try and control time. They try and break through time frequencies and barriers and then go into the past and the future and crazy sci-fi stuff. But yeah, there are things you can't fix. You have to be okay with that. Right? The victim-victimizer games make you think you need someone to be loved, seen, appreciated, and respected. The only one you need is you to know you are part of the Christ. You just need yourself. And you have yourself. That's the thing. You always have yourself.
Yeah, that's true. And like Natai was saying, the bully psychopath, you can't fix that situation. You need to walk from it. That's where it gets dangerous and aggressive. And reverse mirroring, whereas the others were direct mirroring, reverse mirroring just simply, I believe, means, from my perspective, that everything that you do, they'll try to reverse it on you. Like,
Yeah.
I want to help you. I don't need help. Well, I'm here to try to fix this. You can't fix it. And so it's just combative and it's just aggressive and there's no fixing it. Even though the fixer wants to fix it, you need to recognize what's happening and you have to walk, right? Because physical harm is probably likely in those situations. And so I just wanted to do a very brief review with my notes, which they're scattered now. Yeah, I wanted to make notes because I wanted to get this all down like correctly so that we could accurately convey these 9 stages of the victim-victimizer blame game program. And so you could identify properly, what perhaps you can even see yourself in or even see others being involved in, right? Like when you recognize it, that's when you start to have the tools to take action. So you started off with the false friend, you're this lone child or you're a friend looking for somebody, right? And then it's like, take care of me, I'm your baby doll, right? And then it goes into the false parent, so help me and helpless honey. And then we get into this righteousness pattern, like I'm right, you're wrong, which is the terrorist and the acrimonious achiever. And then it develops into this dead enemy stance of the possum, well, I'll just do nothing and I'll be quiet and wait for my moment, right? Whereas somebody else is being the peacekeeper. And there's still that element there of like aggression, right? That's underneath it all. And then you get into the Trojan horse where you have somebody being a direct snake about to strike, where you're finally feeling like you're taking off the I guess the cloak of protection, that you feel safe now, so you're going to go look into improving yourself, but they're ready to strike. And then you can kind of see how it develops, right? Even in one relationship, you're going to go through all these patterns, and then you get into martyr, right? I'm wonderful, and the blind blamer. You're always blaming other people for your problems that are happening to you, and then getting into this magical situation where there's sleight of hand and a bit of narcissism happening with direct mirroring, and you feel like you're always the one that's guilty. You have a guilt complex, and then finally it gets aggressive into that bully psychopath. So you can kind of see how relationship dynamics can start to develop. I don't even want to use the word develop because it's not like increasing in anything. It's actually just going through the patterns, the stages of the 9 victim-victimizer program. And like Natai was saying, there's so many tools you can use right now to at first identify, like we were saying, and take a breath, pause, and say, I don't have a problem with you. I'm not fighting with you. This isn't my fight, and just trying to become more into a neutral state. The greatest antidote is the 12 ANRs that we went through in the first previous episodes. We wanted you to have that first because those are your little gold nuggets that you can carry with you throughout the day to make sure that you're not involving yourself in any victim-victimizer programming, which is encoded in our DNA. We pass it on to our children because that crystallization encoding is actually in our reproductive organs. So we're giving it to our children, right? We're passing it down. It's genetically passed down. But it's a game. It's a virtual reality game and a program. And the minute that you realize you're of the Christ and you don't need anybody for validation or for love or for appreciation, and you can have that all to yourself just by being you of the Christ, of God's source, that's when you've broken that and shattered that pattern for your children. And let me tell you that the actions you take today and the way that you walk on this earth today does impact your future. It impacts your present moment immediately. It impacts your future, and it can change your past, right? So there's always an opportunity to turn things around, right? And to recognize these patterns as they play out. One thing I think that we forgot to mention briefly is to talk about element 3. Remember element 3, Nate? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to? I'll
I'll
get
let you.
started. I know you want to share a piece about element 3 for sure, but I can get started if you
Yeah,
want.
I'll let you go.
Okay. So element 3 is that other thing going on where you just cannot really pinpoint something's up. Something's weird. I don't know why we're at each other's throats right now. I don't know what caused that. Sometimes element 3 is an external third party force from a fallen angelic being or shadow entity or shadow dancer that is impacting your elementals, aka the tiny, little beings that are composed of your consciousness, that are reversed. Those are influencing you, right? You're being influenced by something else. It isn't just the program, it's something extra, right? It's actually like a targeted attack because you have something that you're here to do. And this can be, it's just a feeling you have. It's something else, right? And element 3 is referred to on the periodic table of elements is lithium, which is one of the most, toxic and potentially lethal, elements that we have identified. And so that is why it's called element 3. It's toxic, it's lethal, it's something
And
outside.
lithium is a metal too, right? Which like it's the least dense of all metals out there as well, which is
Hmm.
very interesting. It being a metal and not a gaseous or liquid,
Hmm.
because our body has a lot of a lot of, let's say, ability for metals to um, stick to it, right? So our
Yeah.
body is very magnetic, right? And element 3, if I can interject here,
Hmm.
um, think of think of when you've been in a friendship. For example, I remember years ago, right? Me and my friend were just chilling. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, a conversation occurs, right? Conversation where we should not be arguing, right? We should be respectfully agreeing to disagree. But one side takes the stance so strong over here. Another side takes the stance so strong over here. And then in the middle, there's this, let's say, me right here. Oh, think this. Oh, how about this though? Putting thoughts here, putting thoughts here. This is the FA field influence. This is the influence that can come through because of our biological handicap. Is that a good term to put? This is a bit of a biological handicap because, as we stated earlier, our chemicals, element three, lithium, which can be in the human body, found in the human body, is a means in which FAs can influence us magnetically, electromagnetically, specifically. Pay attention to the modern day, right, and how they're trying to get a bunch of people to inject into their bodies these RNA material, right, RNA, DNA material stuff, right? I'm not going to say the name because I don't think YouTube likes me saying the name of that, but they inject things into you from birth, right? These things, right, that put into you elements, one of which is most likely element three, one of which is allowing you to be influenced, right? This is how our fields get played with, right? On a physical level. If people are like, how does possession happen? It happens because our body has little gaping holes in it, etherically, right? And then that becomes holes in our mental body, which become holes in our emotional bodies, which then become holes in our chemical bodies. Because all the bodies are linked on this chain, like right behind me, right? That image. All our bodies are linked like that, right behind me. Say our body, like our chemical bodies down here, and then we have this body, and then the larger body. So if I can get an element, say lithium here, into, let's say, food, into vaccines, into water, not just lithium too. I think fluoride is also a big one that's out there. Then I now have a link, a little tiny string attached into that person over there, and say I have one attached to that person over there. So whenever I feel like I want to gain this energy, this frequency, these keys, oh, let me just stimulate this argument between these two over here over a completely contrived notion in their mind or out there that I have orchestrated on a negative way. So just like how God source orchestrates very good things for us, there are those that are trying to orchestrate very bad things for us as well. I hope I did
Yeah.
a decent job explaining that.
Yeah, and I liked your thought process on it too, because this isn't a call to action to be passive and pretend like nothing bad is happening. It's a time to be proactive. And I fully support people voicing what they think is wrong with our system, with the programs that are running, with individual behaviors that they're seeing and witnessing and experiencing, you know? It's not about like, oh, I just want to be peaceful and I want to be light and love and not recognize that there are issues and problems present here. It's not about that at all. It very much is acknowledging that there's things that are here going wrong, and it's getting, extreme out there. It's ramping up so much that you're seeing it on the every day. You're almost seeing a news story every day that's horrible, of things going on between people, between groups, between nations. And that's what this cycle is all about. It's going through these extreme patterns, and then you can start to recognize them. So one
Not
thing
to,
that you can start doing too, I'm sorry, Natai, you want to speak? Go ahead. You can share your thought.
yeah, I was gonna say while you were going on about the school stuff, and then I'll let you continue. One thing I noticed is this extreme development in AI that's been happening in the past 3 days. So, like, we are entering this world, this weird world we never thought we were gonna enter into. I don't know. At least I never thought when I was growing up it was gonna be this sci-fi. There's aliens, really? Oh, there's aliens. Yeah, there are. Guess what? And they're not there. They're closer than they think. Artificial intelligence is not somewhere up there in the future. It's closer than you think. It's right here. The FAs are not as far as you think. They're right here. But guess what? The Guardians are even closer.
Yeah, amen.
So that's what I
Diane
want to say.
joy. Ah, that's a beautiful thought.
Uh,
I wanted to say to everybody with this victim-victimizer patterning, now that you've been introduced to it, I highly recommend you check out the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order Freedom Teachings. It's particularly the Sacred Sexuality series. Sacred Sexuality, I believe it's part 3, goes into the victim-victimizer program. She goes through it very briefly, and then one of the Cathara team members, Pam Brown, did a wonderful workshop on it as well, which maybe you'll upload onto YouTube, for example, for people to have access to.
Yeah.
So this conversation today was inspired by that work being done, recognizing that we have not been the creators or inventors of this. That this intelligence, this information, this wisdom came from the speakership, and the guardians. They wanted us to be aware of it and know about it. So you can tell that we're in a program. Some people would call this a virtual reality game. Well, that's what it looks like when you're playing right into the hands of the game and the program without pausing and practicing your 12 ANRs. So you can start to recognize these patterns. And what I would recommend you do is when you're watching like your Netflix, you're doing your Netflix and chill thing, or whatever you're doing, just observe, like, are these characters enacting one of those victim
Yeah.
victimizer games? Start to see the patterns and what it looks like, because they can be really tricky unless you're training yourself to see the patterning going on, right? And then you have the tools to stop it in its tracks, totally reverse that, and go back into alignment, back into crystal spiral, and not fall by being siphoned with your frequency and energy and spiraling down into the Fibonacci spiral black hole system. So that's what you're here to do, and you have the power to do that. It's just that simple.
Yeah. And I want to add to remember, it may seem really hard at first, but that's the whole point. After you go through the hard part, it becomes more bearable. Also, I remember messaging you Nikki, this week about the difference between flame and light, right? See, light shines and will always shine, right? But there's also something called false light that can pretend to be light, which is out there. That's why we talk about this flame. That's why it's called Echoes of the Flame podcast, right? Because the flame stands there and burns even through pain, even through grief, even through sorrow. It's overwhelming. See, the thing is, a lot of people, they run to the good, pleasant, pleasureful feeling. Of course, it's going to be pleasant. Like, pleasure is there, it's constant. But the feeling that I look for is that raw, it's almost grief and joy mixed in one. You don't know why you're crying. You're just sitting there, you're just in tears, you just feel overwhelmed. That is the flame. This overwhelming, joyous sorrow, if that makes sense. It's paradoxical. It's joyous sorrow. It's not just this, oh, light. Thank you. This thing that makes you all airhead. The flame grounds you. It makes you connected to here, to there, to there. That's the biggest difference between the flame and the light. So look for the flame, and the flame will show you true light. The flame is connected to eternal light and eternal sound and eternal life and to God's source and to the larger ecadic realities that exist. The ecadic, polaric, triadic levels of reality and all that good stuff that is waiting for us. Also, remember, time for us seems like really long, but in the larger scheme of cosmic time cycles, our experience is like 0.0001 second of a 24-hour clock. So trying to put too much importance here. You are important, but over importance is, I think, the root of how victimizing begins. You are important, yes, but you're not. Keep that. It's like, I am very important, but also I'm not. I am, but I'm not. if that makes sense. You are a very important, loving creation creature of God. But that doesn't mean you have every right over other beings. You're the same. The only thing that's given is more and more responsibility with the more and more DNA strand count that you adopt and are able to embody. That's all the difference between individuals are. Is it when you start to it's like if Nikki has a 36 strand DNA content and I have a 24, I don't care because she's holding for me You know, that part. And I'm grateful for her for holding that for me. And that's the type of mindset that the Krystic civilizations have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't say, oh, please, Guru, I want your forgiveness. I need you to kiss me on my, like that. They don't do that. They all stand, hello, hello. Hey, guess what? We got a mission. Let's go do this. Or hey, guess what? Let's go explore that universe over there. Or hey, well, let's go explore these ideas together.
Mm-hmm.
Not you tell me what to think, and I will think everything that you tell me to think.
Right.
That's the last thing I wanted to share.
Yeah, and that's the design, the design and the program and the net with the beast machine and the metatronic reversals that we have. We're told or thought, we're trained to believe that we need somebody, that we need to get approval somewhere. The system is designed that way as well, right? But you don't need that. You are part of the Christ, and every decision you make is detrimental to your future, to your present moment, and to your past, like I had said before, right? And again, I just want to reiterate, humor is like the king. If you can laugh at yourself at like the ridiculousness of this situation, you blast through that metatronic net system right away, like crack jokes with yourself. Like some days I'm just like chuckle, chuckle, holy Shona light day, Woo, I think that person's seed atom is spinning in a different direction than mine.
Yeah.
Like just like give yourself a giggle because that's what we're surrounded by it. And there's no
Yeah.
chasing that.
Yeah.
But you can stand in your Chris power, right?
And joy is like laughter. See how I'm like sometimes I just randomly just start making fun, not really making fun, I should say, trying to make it a humorous thing, say it in a
Yeah.
humorous way because
Mhm.
it is hilarious, bro. It is like think about 950 billion years ago, things were
Yeah.
created. Then 480 billion years ago, by the way, if you really want to know how the VV game started to come, there was this Barantasala, and the Eka level of our parallel, Akasha witnessed a natural fall in the matrix. So there's natural falls as well. There's so much stuff out there that is so interesting, right? And
Mhm.
and then this ended up them creating this game where they would do this great experiment in polarity. And sometimes I just find it hilarious. I'm like, dang, I thought y'all were like super geniuses. You know what I mean? You could see through space and time, and
Mhm.
somehow, with all that, things got as bad as they did. To me, it's too funny. It's like the ultimate comedy joke. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're these D12. I guess they're not a dash yet, that but these D12 beings, avatar level, and we know so much. And yeah, yeah, let's do this. We got this. Oh wait, no, we don't got this. Oh no, things are going completely out of control, and we don't know what to do. And God help, please.
Yeah.
That's how I can imagine how everything went.
Yeah, the way out of here is self-empowerment with just refer back to those 12 ANRs. You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Mhm.
And anyway, so I guess we'll conclude with that. We'll let people let us know what you think about the Victim-Victimizer program, which one resonated with you, which one are you not sure about. Let us know how you think and feel about this episode.
And questions too.
Leave
Feel
questions,
free,
leave
feel free.
comments.
Yeah, feel free to ask questions. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and then also if you're a Krystic content creator, message. We are looking for people to invite onto the podcast and have conversations with because y'all, it's the great bifurcation. The first ignition is beginning. Get ready.
Right, right. This is
Yeah.
the time. This is the
Yeah.
time. And always perfect timing and divine right timing, right? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, all you fellow indigos and angelic humans out there listening. Until the next episode.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Cause we are powerful enough. It's love powering us. Echoes of flame eternally.